you tweet that back? Yeah.
Good morning. Obviously very pleased with the win. We messed up a lot of things. There's so many things that we can do better as coaches and try to help the guys put themselves in better positions. But I did feel like that the confidence they showed in the fourth quarter is something that we really needed. The comeback in the fourth quarter was something that will really help our football team because it helps them buy into who we are as coaches. And we kept telling them to be in great shape and win the fourth quarter. And when you do that in a close ball game, it reinforces the 10 months that we've been preparing these guys for that game. I was really excited that we looked like we were in really good condition considering the heat. We had a couple of guys with cramps, but not 10 or 15, and the cramps were manageable. Nobody had to stay out of a game because of cramps. So I do think that our medical staff and our strength coaches, as well as our nutritionists, did a tremendous job of preparing us for the heat at 3:30 in the afternoon on opening day. That's hard to do. The other thing that happened was you question your offensive line's toughness when you get here, and they did a really good job with the backs that we have who are tremendous of running the ball in the fourth quarter. And I thought that was the difference in the ball game. The 90-plus yard drives twice, keeping South Carolina's defense on the field, not allowing their offense to have the ball. We had the ball a lot more than they did. I think it was like 76-61. We had the time of possession a lot more than they did. So all of those things were a real positive for us. And South Carolina is a good team. I think we'll see them do well throughout the year. We won the turnover battle, which is really important. If you win the turnover battle and you win the rushing game, most of the time you're going to end up doing well. Way too many penalties. We've worked on it so hard every day. We've had ACC officials in every practice, and still we had too many. So we've got to go back and start over in that area and just continue to talk about it and preach. We had 3 sacks. We had opportunities for 6 or 7 and missed tackles on the quarterback. So that's another area that we can really improve. We didn't have that many mental mistakes. So for a first ball game, I thought the coaches did a great job of making sure that we were getting in the right place and doing the right stuff. 270 yards is the fewest that have been allowed by UNC defense since 2013. So after early, where we missed a lot of tackles, I felt like our defense stepped up and did a tremendous job. And I thought both offense and defensive staff did a good job of adjusting at halftime. Entirely too many mistakes in the kicking game on coverage, which put us in a position where we lost field position about 10 or 15 yards, and that really hurt us during the ball game. Thank goodness our offense was able to take the ball and drive it so far. We haven't started 2-0 since 2014. We've got a really strong test with Miami this weekend. Their talent will be more like Clemson than anybody else in this league. They're very, very talented. They've had 2 weeks to prepare, so they'll be fresh. They'll be mad because they lost in a tight one to Florida. So we'll have our hands full, but looking forward to a packed house and a rowdy crowd here. A lot of fun on Saturday night.
Was there a challenge getting these guys to come down from the excitement of winning this game and putting it to bed and start focusing on Miami?
Is, not was.
Is.
Yes. We had a victory meal last night. We were really hard on them in the videos and showed them we won the game, but here are all the things that we did that could have kept us from winning the game as coaches and players. At the end of the victory meal, we told them to really enjoy South Carolina until you go to bed. And then when you get up tomorrow, you're totally focused on Miami. So I will not, I've got the radio show tonight, which is why I do it on Monday. I don't like to talk about South Carolina all day on Monday because it's gone and you're already working on Miami. But I will, because I'll get asked about it. But after today, that's why this is their day off. We'll be totally Miami in the morning.
Mack, how would you assess the way Sam played in his first collegiate game, and what are some things y'all are looking for going forward?
I thought that Sam did a tremendous job. He's got so much composure. You walk out there and you get to delay a game on the first play of the game, and he didn't even flinch. And I thought Phil did a good job with him. We just said, okay, 1st and 15, here we go. But he got hit. He made plays with his feet. I think he's at his best. He's got such a great touch on the deep ball, and the catch by Mack Brown is one of the best I've ever seen. I couldn't see it from the sideline, and I guess I got busy with whether to go for two or kick it, so I didn't see the replay. But when I got home and turned on ESPN and saw that it was the play of the day, what a great catch. It's not a good catch. That's a great catch. And then Bo Corrales to jump up with his height and length on the goal line. But Sam's got really good touch on the deep ball. I still think he's most impressive when he's out of the pocket and he's running toward the line of scrimmage. He's fast enough to make yards and strong enough to break tackles, but when people come up, he's got that really good awareness to throw the ball downfield, like he did to Antoine Green. He just didn't have his feet under enough to get it to him, or that's a touchdown throw. And I think he'll be so much better this week than he was last week. But he has great composure. Not much bothers him. The way you all see him is the way we see him every day. You ask him questions and he just answers them. There's not any of this whatsoever.
Mack, Chai Surratt led the team in tackles on Saturday. Were you surprised at how well he played?
I looked him up last night at dinner and just hugged his neck and said, you were a quarterback this time last year. You've never played in a game at linebacker. Excuse me. He played all day. He didn't get tired. He's in great shape. So I think he's got a chance to be a tremendous player. And I think he actually has a chance, if he progresses, to be a pro linebacker because he runs so fast. And he's 230 pounds. He overran some things early because he was so hyped, you can imagine. His head swirling out there on the first series. But I was so impressed by the way he played and how hard he played. And he comes probably 10 or 12 yards to his left once and bats a ball down on a curl route that a lot of linebackers can't get to. So he will only get better and better. In fact, this week we've got to figure out with Dominic and Jeremiah Gimble and him, who do we put in? I mean, how do we rotate them? So that's a good problem to have that we didn't have last week. And then when the first series, our healthy defensive back comes out, Trey, we're sitting there and poor Storm Duck, who's never been in the game, is over there, and we said, okay, Storm, go have fun, bud. And he looked at us like, you're kidding. I said, no, you got it. There's no choice. You are a freshman, and he played really well. And I was impressed with the play of Greg Ross. He had some tough plays last year, and people picked on him some. He made some really good plays Saturday against good players. So all of them stepped up with a lot of confidence. And the front line's good. They played really well.
How much of a difference is there when you, after any first game, your guys are going to have lessons that you want to and you learn to do it to win, as opposed to you lost and you have all these things to fix. There's something positive even as you say to them, this is not good enough going forward.
Yes, you can coach them so much harder after a win, and especially a team that in its past has struggled and didn't have a lot of confidence. Now, we'll coach them hard tomorrow. It'll be really hard. It'll be like we lost, and they understand that. I told them, let's enjoy it, but we could have played so much better. And it's funny watching all games that with the difference in preseason tackling now. Fewer people are tackling as much because of targeting, because of concussions, because of injuries and lack of depth. It's hard to get your great players in scrimmages a lot. We had a scrimmage in the spring where we lost 3 players. And even Urban Meyer, when he came to practice, said, you're tackling in your scrimmage. And I said, yeah, we got to tackle. We don't have any choice. But you're seeing in first quarters so many people missing tackles. And even by the second quarter, they're getting better. And by the second half, they're a lot better. Just because it's the first time since we don't have preseason that they get to have a really live situation. And kicking games are that way too, because you don't do them live in practice. You do them live, but you don't tackle. So sometimes it's just not as good. So that's why there's so much more improvement in college football from the first game to the second.
Coach, it looked like Sam took a lot of hits. Did you see it on tape? And what do you kind of do to prevent that from happening, whether it be running in less or protection-wise and offensive line?
Yeah, the number one thing is he needs to learn to get down. And we'll show him some Kyler Murray tape, he's more like Sam Ellinger at Texas. He wants to run over everybody. He's tough, and he's not going to do that. So get down, get your yardage, and slide. So we'll have Coach Longo will be teaching him to slide today, I'm sure, but that'll help some. We didn't have that many design runs for him. They have 2 great pass rushers that'll be draft choices. So I thought our offensive line did a really good job, but still, we're not as good in 3rd down and long in protecting as we are 1st down play action throws and being physical. So we've still got some work to do in that area.
Toward the end of the game on Saturday, they caught you kind of telling Dre Blood to get his head up. How much have you had to kind of coach your staff on staying positive and stuff like that too?
Well, I've really had to coach them because when things are bad, you got to pick them up. These guys are 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old guys, and they've got to learn to handle adversity in their lives. We all have it. We have it every day with our families, with our children, with our jobs. And one of the responsibilities we have as coaches is to take our players and teach them when things are bad. We said, really and truly, when you've got something that's going wrong, what a great opportunity to fix it and get better. So we say adversity is just an opportunity for a positive. And here's Dre at the end of the game when we screwed some stuff up. He's going, "Oh man!" I said, "No. You grow up and you be positive and go out there and get a stop. That's your job, not to sit here and be down." And so that's just who we are. And thank goodness we have a positive staff. And it's funny. I told the players that if you practice hard every day at game speed, when you get to the game, it shouldn't matter. You'll be a little anxious, but you shouldn't be nervous because you've already been here. You've already done these things time and time again. Same thing with coaches. Coaches should not coach differently on game day than they do every day of practice. The second day of spring practice should have been like they coached this weekend. And that's what I've told them. If you're staying around with your hands in your pocket coaching in spring, you're going to shock your players when you jump out there and you're so animated on game day. It'll be that way every day. And that's my job to coach everybody.
After week 1, would you say the running back group is still the best position group?
Yes, absolutely. I was really impressed by the way our front 7 stopped the run, especially without Ross. I thought without Ross and John Smith, we had no experience at linebacker, and the guys did a good job of holding those guys to, I think, 128 yards rushing. And I said I was disappointed. We could have had a lot of sacks that we missed. But I feel like the running backs are still our best group, and I'm not sure anybody's got 3 that are as good as these 3. And I thought Robert Gillespie did a masterful job of keeping all of them in the game, and Antonio didn't play as much the first 3 quarters or right at the end of the 3rd and starting the 4th, and we put him in, and his fresh legs were obvious, and he was hard to tackle. So any of those guys can be in the game at any time, and the other thing is they took care of the ball. Sam's got to take care of the ball better. He had it on the ground twice. Other than that, we didn't have a ball on the ground. And protection of the ball is so key in this sport. It just makes a huge difference.
Is that a workload you could see doing going forward, or do you think it would change each week as far as the number of carries each guy gets?
I think it will change. When we were here, we've got Williams and Carter, which sounds like a law firm. So we used to have Johnson & Johnson, which obviously sounded like something different. But with these 3 guys, we wanted to be the firm. We want them all 3 to carry the ball. And what we did with Johnson & Johnson is they started 5 plays each. They would just rotate. And then if one of them got hot, he had the hot hand, we left him in the game. And that happened some Saturday. All 3 of them at times were hot. Michael Carter's really good in space. He's as good as anybody. He's really fast, and he's tough up inside, but you get him on the corner, and our receivers and tight ends did an outstanding job blocking downfield on our flares and sweeps and such. But 4th quarter running, if you get a guy as fresh as Antonio, and he's in there, everybody looks slow but him. I mean, he just jumped off that goal line. I said, "Ooh, that's good stuff," and he did it the whole 4th quarter.
Just to follow up on it, the 4 carries though, I mean, it's not very many, obviously. He's a guy that had the potential to carry more. Was that just game flow product, the way the game went, or was that something more specific in the game plan?
No, it was when you've got three, it doesn't matter, because all three of them can do everything that the others can do. And coaches have a tremendous amount of pressure on them during the games. If you make it a poor decision, if you put the wrong guy in the game, you can lose your job. Not only the game, and the coaches understand that. And what I've told the players yesterday in the team meeting is that if you didn't play in the game and you thought you were going to, it simply means that you haven't built enough trust in your coach. And he wanted to play you, he meant to play you, but when you get right in the middle of the battle of the game, you look up, look over there and say, not yet, I'm not there yet, because you've got to have total trust in the player to put him in. And Robert has total trust in those three backs.
Coach,
Right.
you went to Javante a lot, and he got 80 yards after contact. Have you seen that kind of physicality from him, and what have you seen in terms of him just kind of shrugging guys?
Yes, he's got the unusual ability he's got the power of a 220-pound guy. He's got the speed of anybody that's probably 4'4", and he's got really good hands, and he's been a good ball security guy. So I think he is a big-time player, and he looked like it. If you get him on that flare pass with blockers out in front of him, I wouldn't want to tackle him coming downhill. He's really a good player.
Brian Anderson got a lot of snaps late in the game. Why was he in the game and not Nick at that time? And how did that position grade out during the course of the
We're
game?
trying really hard to develop depth because these are long seasons now. 12 games, a long time, and hopefully you've got some more. So if we see somebody that's been on the field we feel like too long, we put Billy Ross in some. We're trying to get that white group to be good enough that it doesn't matter. Just put them in and put them in anytime you want. Hopefully we'll get to a point at some time where we would put them all in. We did the same thing on defense. There were a couple of times where the white defense came in and they had 3 and outs with the front guys. We didn't have white linebackers enough ready to play, so they couldn't come out. But that's what that's about. We trust our guys. Stacy said Nick was worn down a little bit because he'd never played center. He's got that monster over him every play. So it was just to get some fresh legs in the game late.
Did those guys grade out okay, or?
Yeah, I think so. We tried to be so simple in an opener anyway that you don't want a bunch of mistakes. So we didn't have a lot of mental errors. And then secondly, you've got a rookie quarterback, and you got linebackers who've never played. Just like on their touchdown pass down the seam to the tight end, Miles was over trying to get the young ones lined up, and he just didn't quite get back in time. And it looked like a bust. It wasn't. He was coaching, and they snapped the ball before he could get back over in the middle. That's why I was so proud of these guys that nobody's pointing fingers when they throw the touchdown pass. We explain exactly what happened, and we move on. And that's it. Forget it and go to the next play. But hopefully we'll be ready to play more guys this week than we were last week, because some of them went in the games, and like Storm Duck did a really good job. And you don't know. Cam Kelly didn't get to practice for 10 days, so he was on some special teams, but he wasn't ready to play as a safety. And really proud of the 2 safeties. Miles Dorn and Miles Wolfett played so well. Miles Dorn missed some tackles early, and they were in space against really good players, so we got to slow him down a little bit. We were too excited. The defensive coaches were jumping poor Gimmel and Surratt because they missed a tackle, both of them right in the middle of the hole. And I think it was because they were too excited. They overran it. They need to slow down and take their breaths. So after they got through getting chewed out, I went over and said, I think you're doing great. Slow down. Slow down. You've never even been out there. So forget all that.
Miles brought that turnover belt with him to the post-game interview.
Oh, did he?
How did that come about? I guess it's the thing now in college football.
Yeah, we didn't have it, and Dre, some guy made a belt for Dre for his Hall of Fame for college, and Dre and he got together. They thought this would be a great idea, so about 10 days ago they said, what about this belt we've got for turnovers? And I said, I don't care. If the kids need to have fun, let them have fun. And so it shows up on Friday. I'd never seen it, and I look at it, I put it on, I put it over my shoulder and try to see how it looks. And I said, if it'll get us some turnovers. And then during the game, it's kind of funny, I kept saying to the defense, I don't know why we got this belt. I mean, it's just sitting back there, guys. Would somebody at least pick it up or do something? And I haven't seen it yet, but I guess the first time he didn't do much with it. The second time he held it up and he's proud of it. So one thing we've got to remember is these are young people that need to have fun. And coaches have tremendous pressure on them, and players have tremendous pressure on them. I wanted to come back to have fun, and I wanted the kids to have fun. Probably the dance that I did is pretty embarrassing. I didn't know that there would be video on it either, but tried to find it all and buy my way out of it, but I think it's too far out there. But we were telling our stories in the team meeting. So every 2 players a team meeting and a staff member or coach would get up and tell their life story, and it was really emotional. I mean, to see what some of these guys have been through, and everybody would talk about their hardships and who they most admired in their lives, and and just things. And we also, because they were so excited when we'd have meetings, and you got them now 6:30 in the morning, we started a dance contest. And Dre's in charge of the dance contest, so he would get players up, and he'd make them get up, and then he'd get coaches up. And they'd say, Coach Galloway, and then the whole team would start, Lonnie, Lonnie, Lonnie. So the coaches had to get up. Well, one morning they started, Mack, Mack, and I said, nah, I'm the boss, I'm not dancing. And then they said, come on, coach, come, you need to dance for us. And I said, no, I don't dance. And then I said, I made a real mistake in my life. I said, beat South Carolina, then I'll dance. And as I'm walking in the dressing room, they could have cared less about anything else except dance, dance. I said, yeah, I got it. So needless to say, that's the first time I've thought about that since I made my promise. And next time I may cut my hair or something, I'm not going to dance.
What would you call those dance moves? What was it?
I would call them very awkward, and I don't dance, and I never thought about it. So all I did was what I've seen the kids do in their dances. I tried to do a few of those things, and that was it. And by the way, there wasn't music, so it really wasn't fair. I mean, if I had my music, we were playing Oklahoma State in mid to late 2000s, and I thought we were going to be flat for the game. It was in Stillwater. And that's when Soldier Boy was hot, and everybody was doing the Soldier Boy dance. So I came up with this great idea for pregame. What I would do is put my coaching outfit on, but I'd cut it down the middle where they couldn't see it. I was going to yell at them about not being ready to play, and then I was going to rip my shirt off and have the camouflage, and I did the Soldier Boy dance. I mean, I worked on it. I practiced it. I was pretty good. And that's, we were down 35-14 at the end of the third quarter, so that's when I said, no more dances. That didn't work. And then we did win, 38-35.
When you've heard from people about the win Saturday, how many of them have also said something about the dance?
Oh, I think there were 600 to 700 text messages Saturday night, and all of them said, great win. Don't know about the dance.
Do you anticipate Cam Kelly being ready for safety or corner this week?
Yes, he'll play safety. And he'll back up. We were so afraid last week that if Miles had something happen, even with a targeting call now, you lose all of your experience at safety. So that was tough for us. But DJ Ford played well. It's the first time he's played a lot. He really played well. So I thought all the guys back there did a good job. And in fact, Edwards, I think, caught one ball, and we were really afraid of him coming into the game.
Were you worried on that hit that Doran had that was kind of over the middle that might be?
No, it was in here. I thought it was a really clean lead.
How satisfying was it to finish the way the team did after that been kind of a bugaboo for a while?
We couldn't have scripted it any better. I mean, they've lost enough games late like that over just stuff that our coaches didn't panic, our players didn't panic, and I thought we couldn't have scripted it any better. It was the perfect way to finish. Just do your job. Don't look at the scoreboard. Don't worry about it. Even Coach Longo, we had talked in pregame about being careful with Sam. Well, we had some things in around the goal line, and we didn't execute them very well, so it looked way too conservative. Phil opened it up with him second quarter, late second quarter and second half, and So it was just a process of the first time all of us have been on the field together, players and coaches. There's nothing better for your confidence than to have a tough game that you mess things up and still win. Because it shows them you don't have to play perfect in college football. It's not a perfect game. You've got young people that make mistakes, and the ones that make the fewer mistakes are the ones that wins the game.
When you gave, talked about Miami a little bit ago, you gave them the Clemson praise. What is it specifically you saw when you look at them on film that impresses you?
The first thing you look at is their defense. They're a old-timey Miami defense. Maybe the best set of linebackers in the country. If not, they're in that group. Those two guys are all over the field, and I called one of their games about every year for the last 3 years, and we've got Coach Searles on our staff who's coached there the last 3 years as our offensive line coach. And when you look at those guys, they're so impressive. They've got really good pass rushers on the edge. I mean, they're so talented from top to bottom. Bandy's one of the best corners I've seen. He's very, very impressive. Offensively, their back's good, their receivers are good, their tight ends. You look at Jordan in space, he is so good, but Jeff Thomas and KJ Osborne are they're guys that can fly. So I got the turf in here for fast teams. I hope that it works for us this weekend because they're really fast.
Mack, it seemed like you had most, if not all, of your assistants on the sideline with you. Who are upstairs, if any, and kind of what's your philosophy on that?
There were a few upstairs, but they wanted to be downstairs, and Phil has always called plays from downstairs, and so has Jay. He's called defenses. So they just feel more comfortable down there, and I like them being down there if they feel good because they get to talk to the players one-on-one. Tommy Thigpen went up, and Jay worked with linebackers and safeties, and other than that, it was usually young guys up. But Phil and Jay have been doing this a long time, and I thought they both managed the game really, really well. You're talking about Jay having to call defenses with young corners and inexperienced and young linebackers, and you're talking about Phil having to play with a freshman quarterback and a lot of young ones at different places. So I was really, really impressed with both, and really proud of them Saturday. I was proud that we hired both of them. Proud they're both here. I thought their adjustments at halftime were really good too. And neither one of them are panic guys. Jay's a little more emotional on the sideline because defense is different than offense. Offensive guys talk, defensive guys scream. Used to say that we should have them in pregame in different rooms. Defensive guys are screaming, playing loud music, and throwing things against the wall, and offensive guys are sitting and thinking. But it's just a different mentality.
Mack, are you watching the hurricane path this week? Are you tracking that at all?
Yes, I'm glad you brought it up. For more reasons, Aaron, than just our football game. We had a home in the Bahamas, right there at Marsh Harbor in Baker's Bay, and that's where it came through. So thoughts and prayers for all of the folks that are there. And I haven't had a chance to look at the damage yet, but it sounds like a horrible storm. And someone asked me this morning, what would we do about the storm? And I got other hurricanes to worry about. So Bubba and his staff will obviously follow that. And it's one of the reasons I wanted turf too, because we get a lot of rain. We get some tropical depressions that come in, and I don't want to play on a bad field. I want to play on a good field.
Coach, I'm sure you heard from a lot of friends and other media people and people after the big wins. Anything that stood out? Did you got calls or texts after the win?
No, Eric Church was on the sideline. He was the first one to come hug me, and he grabbed me from behind. I didn't know what that was about on the field. And Eric was having a good time. But I think that all the coaches that have been in it, I've been in it so long, I know so many people, and they're all so proud for you. And that doesn't mean they don't like Will. They didn't want South Carolina to win. I think the biggest thing is that for us to go from where we were to where we are right now, it just speaks to a lot of people being happy for us. And I still haven't answered them all. I'll have to apologize to 300 of the 600 to 700 that I haven't gotten back to yet.
All right, gang.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Mack.